So guys, Canada has finally decided to announce further changes in the visitor visas that will be issued for visiting Canada in the future. Is this the final nail in the coffin? Because after announcing multiple changes in study permits, study programs, open work permits, closed work permits, high wage LMIAs, low wage LMIAs, permanent resident level plans, Canada has now finally decided to take over the visitor visa by storm as well. The changes are not looking so pleasant when it comes to the perspective of an applicant who's trying to visit Canada in the future. Guys, in this video today, we will be looking at all the changes that Canada has finally introduced after the public consultations that were held in the past couple of months, and in this video we will talk about them in detail. Please be sure to watch the video till the end. My name is Sahil. Guys, welcome back once again. My name is Sahil and I'm a regulated Canadian immigration consultant and I practice here in Ontario. My office is here. If you have to get in touch with me, my number is on the screen and the details are there in the description box. More than happy to speak with you. Before we proceed any further, please make sure that you hit the subscribe button and the bell icon because we talk a lot about Canadian immigration. And if you are an aspirant of moving to Canada, then this is a channel that you must be subscribed to all the time. So guys, we are talking about visitor visas for Canada, also known as popularly the multiple entry visas. Guys, just to let you know, multiple entry visas, as people already know, is a visa that allows people to come to Canada from any country, once people get that issued from the Canadian Immigration Authorities, which is IRCC. People can visit Canada for as many times as they want to if it's a multiple entry. If it's a single entry visa, then people get to enter only once and then the visa gets cancelled at the airport. And then finally, the usual validity of that document of a multiple entry visa used to be 10 years or as long as the passport was valid or the travel document that people would have applied with was valid. So it would either be 10 years or as long as the travel document was valid. But the changes that have been announced on November the 6th, 2024 are not so pleasant because IRCC has finally decided to give more powers to the officers when they're considering issuing these visas. Now, there are a lot of multiple overheads where the officers will get to exercise their jurisdiction, but overall, the changes are going to be divided in two parts. One is the assessment of the application, and the other most important part is the validity of the overall. First change is that the validity of the overall travel document may or may not be 10 years. It can be shorter as well. Okay, based on what circumstances or based on what factors we will cover in the video. But overall, the gist is that the processing has now become more stricter and the officer has the authority to issue a visitor visa or a multiple entry visa with a shorter validity. First, what IRCC says is that the IRCC officers will be required to look at the purpose of visit with a broader lens of coverage, which means whether the person is applying to come to Canada for a one-time event, for example, such as a conference or an invitation to a business visit, or the person is coming here for a tourism, like one-off a tourism trip that the person is trying to cover, for which the officer could consider issuing only a one-time entry or a single entry visa as well. But otherwise, the officer would want to also look at whether the person is trying to come to Canada frequently or not. Say, for example, they're trying to visit their close family members, or if the purpose of visit is also for coming for a short-term permit exempt activity, for example, a short-term course, or maybe giving an exam, or maybe coming as a worker. Also, are they coming to Canada to take care of somebody who's critically ill, for example, for compassionate reasons? Person wants to apply for a medical emergency visa. Depending upon how many visits the person would require, IRCC officer will have the control of whether the officer wants to issue a longer validity, shorter validity, single entry or a multiple entry. The officer will also have to look at the funds that are being provided by the applicant as a part of the application. Are the funds a lot or are they good enough to cover the entire duration of the stay and the multiple frequencies of the stay as well? Is the person going to have a regular income source, for example, an employment or any other income source, so that once they issue a multiple entry visa, the kind of source of funds continues to come in, and if they want to come in the future, the officer may not have to re-verify those sources. Is the application being supported by a host? Say, for example, if there is a person who's inviting the traveler, is the host covering the travel expenses or not? If yes, has the host also invited other individuals in the past, and does the host have enough resources to bring in all of those people? So previously this was not so being done, because usually the host or the inviter was not looked at with the lens of scrutiny, but now it's apparent that IRCC will be looking at the inviter / the host as well. The medical reasons are also going to be looked at very closely. If the person is coming for medical tourism or to get some treatment, or the person is coming here to come to Canada to take care of somebody who's not well. Also, if the person has a medical condition, and if the medical condition may or may not get worse in the coming future, depending upon all of these issues, the IRCC could increase or decrease the validity of the visa, including making it as a single entry or a multiple entry as well. Apart from that, other activities or other factors would include looking at the stronger ties to their home country, any family obligations, any employment situations. IRCC officer will be obligated to look at that as well, including the travel history of the applicant. Has the person complied with the terms and conditions of going to a foreign country? Has the person returned to his or her home country within the time or not? And has the person had any previous visa refusals for Canada or any other country? Guys, overall, what appears from these changes is that IRCC wants to now make it more stricter when it comes to issuing visas for Canada. Is this new? Well, if we look at countries like US and the other Western countries, this may not be new. But yes, definitely the stricter outlook for Canada's visitor visas may be something that people are not expecting, especially at this point of time. Apart from that, if you look at the validity of the application or the validity of the visa that will be issued, the IRCC officers or the issuing officer has been advised to look at the purpose of visit. That is, the person coming to visit for a short term or a long term? Are they repeat visits? Is it a one-time event or a repetitive event? Depending upon that, the IRCC officer will have the authority to issue relative visas. Also, the officers will be looking at the ties to the home country, and also importantly, this has not been covered in the previous section, but when issuing the visa, the validity of the visa, IRCC officer will look at the political conditions of the applicant's home country. Now, this is something that was not done previously, apart from multiple specific situations. But if there are certain political conditions which are pressing upon the home country, then the officer may have the choice of issuing a short-term visa, a short of validity visa, a single entry or a multiple entry. Guys, all in all, the changes are not looking so pleasant from the perspective of the applicants, but from the Canadian immigration or the Canadian government's point of view, when they're trying to put a pause on the population growth, when they're trying to limit the number of temporary residents, the population of temporary residents in the country, then this appears to be a shot in the right direction. Whether it's positive or negative, only time will tell. But for now, this is the information that is available with IRCC officers going forward. So it will be applicable immediately. Guys, I hope the information today was helpful, gave you much insights into what's happening in the world of Canadian immigration. If you have anything to discuss with us or a case, please feel free to schedule an appointment. We would be more than happy to speak with you. Once again, we wish you all the best, and we really hope to see you soon in Canada. All the best.